Good evening, it's nice to see you again on VITV with Into Vietnam in the news. The VCBS says Vietnam bond market will continue to be vibrant in 2014. New IPO listings are expected to increase market supply this year. Vietnam and the European Union aims to finalize the FTA negotiations process. In its Fixed Income Report 2013, the Vietcombank Securities Company, or VCBS, expects the bond market will continue to be vibrant in 2014, thanks to abundant supply and strong demand for all types of bonds. Regarding bond supply, the report says the amount of issued bonds will increase sharply with the growing capital needs of the government to fund important projects and to cover budget deficits. Besides, businesses also have needs for long-term funding sources. On the demand side, the report says it will continue to be strong as banks will maintain prudent lending policies and continue to invest in bonds to seek safety. Two huge financial resources of the banking system in 2014 come from 132.56 trillion dong in bonds and bills maturing in 2014 and special bonds from the Vietnam Asset Management Company in exchange for bad debts. The VCBS forecasts that yields will fluctuate around the levels of the last 6 months of 2013, as inflation expectation in 2014 will remain low at around 7% and the balance between supply and demand. In 2013, Debt and Asset Trading Corporation, or DATC, signed 15 contracts to buy debts value of nearly 1.8 trillion dong. The corporation focused on negotiations with commercial banks to buy bad debts, mainly of state-owned groups and corporations, including the Vietnam Shipbuilding Industry Corporation, restructured and converted 5 state-owned enterprises into joint stock companies. In 2013, total revenue of DATC was 530 billion dong, including revenue from debt trading activities of more than 326 billion dong. In 2014, the DATC targets to restructure 20 businesses, including restructuring debts of 12 enterprises, which are changed from 100% state-owned into joint stock companies. The Vietnam stock market is forecast to witness a boom in share supply this year as several companies opt for initial public offerings or IPOs. The Vietnam National Textiles and Garment Group, or Vinatex, is finally expecting to launch an IPO in the first quarter of this year after failing to do so several times in the past. Vietnam's garment and apparel industry is becoming more appealing to investors because it will be among those that benefit from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP, when it concludes and comes into effect. The Vietnam Motor Industry Corporation, or Vietnam Motor, has also been urged to equitize in 2014 and therefore is likely to launch an IPO. The national flag carrier Vietnam Airlines and VITV are also preparing for their respective IPO. A representative from the Corporate Finance Department said the restructuring of state-owned enterprises, including the equitization efforts, will lead to an increase in the supply of high-equity shares in the market. According to economic expert Vũ Đình Ánh, the supply of shares in the market will be plentiful this year, in part due to Decree 108, which came into effect on November 11, 2013. The decree stipulates that joint stock companies must be listed on the stock exchange within 1 year after they start selling shares to the public. According to the Ministry of Planning and Investment, Vietnam can expect to encounter numerous difficulties in attracting foreign direct investment in 2014. This is due to new stricter regulations that go into effect in 2014, requiring higher technology projects, less environmental pollution, and more added value. Economic experts warn that Vietnam's investment climate will be less attractive unless it further upgrades infrastructure and accelerate administrative reforms. They say the country needs to draw up a new strategy for attracting FDI this year. Vietnam led nearly $22 billion in foreign direct investment in 2013. Key contributors including the process and manufacturing, production, electricity, and real estate industries. The sixth negotiating session of the European Union-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement opened in Brussels, Belgium on January the 13th. The subject matter of negotiations include trade of goods and services, investment, custom cooperation, the rule of origin, competition, sustainable development, institution, and legislation. Addressing the opening session, heads of the Vietnamese and European delegations emphasized the goal to finalize the negotiations soon and expressed their determination to fulfill the objective. They asked experts to speed up the progress of negotiations and to conclude technical negotiations of some contents in which both sides do not have differing views. For other contents, groups of experts should continue negotiations to narrow the gap between the parties. In the coming days, delegation heads will also debate viewpoints and orientations for important areas to accelerate the negotiation and devise a roadmap for completing the Vietnam-EU FTA negotiation. The negotiating session will last until January the 17th. And coming up is the update of import and export activities.
Vietnam's plastic industry earned $2.2 billion in 2013, boasting a 13% increase from the previous year. The export turnover of plastic materials was $407 million, representing a rise of 25% and 57% from the previous year in terms of quantity and turnover. The industry last year exported 20 plastic products to foreign markets. 6 of these products generated a turnover of more than $100 million each. In particular, the exports of plastic bags, films, and garbage bags generated a turnover of over $150 million last year. Plastic bag exports posted an increase of 27% in 2013 over the previous year, while the growth in exports of plastic decorative products was 26.4%. Vietnam's plastic products were shipped to 151 countries and territories, including high-demand markets. The Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers forecasts that Vietnam is likely to ship $3.5 billion worth of shrimp in 2014, while leg shrimps are seen to be potential products for exports this year. In 2013, Vietnam's shrimp exports were estimated to surpass $3 billion, making a year-on-year increase of 34.5% and accounting for 44% of the country's aquatic export values.
Normally, in previous years, when the Tet holiday approached, the shortage of goods supply and price hike often occurred. This year, Ho Chi Minh City has prepared carefully to ensure the goods supply and stabilize the prices of commodities. More in our business report.
According to the report by the Ho Chi Minh City's Department of Industry and Trade, the main sources of goods for the city are coming from businesses who take part in the market stabilization program, accounting for 30 to 40% of the market share, supplies from the wholesale markets for fruits and vegetables, and seafood, accounting for 60 to 70% of market share. Other companies account for 10 to 20% of market share. Until now, businesses participating in market stabilization program have basically completed the plans of goods supply, with the supplying capacity up by 114% compared to targets set by the authority, and up by 70% compared to last year.
Cái công việc dự trữ là chúng tôi làm việc với các nhà cung cấp. Thì là đối với các cái mặt hàng mà có thể đưa về tổng kho thì cái việc dự trữ đã xong, còn đối với những cái nhóm hàng mà phải đặt với nhà vườn hoặc là phải trong quá trình nuôi trồng thì chúng tôi cũng đã làm cái việc ứng vốn cho các cái hợp tác xã, các cái farm để có cái giá cả và cái hàng hóa nó ổn định. Nét mới của cái việc kinh doanh Tết năm nay thì Sài Gòn Co-op chúng tôi tiếp tục thực hiện chương trình Tết Việt hàng Việt.
2013 is the first year that Ho Chi Minh City implemented the stabilization program extensively and intensively without using the state budget. Credit institutions also supported businesses by offering bank loans with the interest rates of 6% per year to ensure that businesses have enough capital for production and providing stable sources of commodities for market during and after the Tết 2014.
Và chúng tôi cũng yêu cầu là các ngân hàng phải tiếp tục là hỗ trợ cho các doanh nghiệp còn lại. Có thể là các doanh nghiệp này trước đây chưa có nhu cầu, nhưng mà bây giờ người ta có nhu cầu thì khi có nhu cầu thì các ngân hàng phải hỗ trợ kịp thời và đầy đủ theo các cái cam kết của mình đã cam kết với thành phố trong cái chương trình bình ổn này. Cái thứ hai đó là cho vay sản xuất kinh doanh bình thường đối với các doanh nghiệp hoạt động bình thường để phục vụ cho cái sản xuất hàng hóa, cho cái chủ yếu là phục vụ cho cái dịp Tết sắp tới. Và các ngân hàng thương mại cũng đã đăng ký với ngân hàng nhà nước một cái lượng vốn tương đối khá lớn, đó là 45.000 tỷ đồng.
According to the municipal authorities, prices of goods participating in the stabilization program Tết 2014 will not go up during the 2 months of Tết. These businesses have plans to offer discounting prices, promotion programs, diversified distribution channels with various sale programs from 5 to 49%, offer gifts and sweepstakes. Also, during the days right before Tết, there will be large discounts for necessities such as eggs, poultry and meat.
Thành phố cũng đang chỉ đạo vấn đề kiểm tra kiểm soát thị trường. Vì nếu chúng ta là đối với những cái dịp mà có nhu cầu mua sắm tăng cao của người dân mà thiếu sự kiểm tra kiểm soát thị trường đối với hàng gian, hàng giả, hàng kém chất lượng thì đó là một trong những điều kiện sẽ ảnh hưởng đến cái quyền lợi cũng như ảnh hưởng sức khỏe của người dân thành phố. Do đó chúng tôi hết sức là quan tâm, đã chỉ đạo cho Sở Công Thương rồi Chi cục Quản lý thị trường của thành phố phối hợp với lại các quận huyện để có một kế hoạch giám sát nó chặt chẽ.
According to the guidelines from the Ministry of Industry and Trade, the Municipal Department of Industry and Trade will closely cooperate with related departments, People Committee of Districts to master the market to meet the demand of local consumers.
Well, that's all for this edition of Into Vietnam. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you soon and goodbye for now.